Welcome in to Phillies Postgame Live, presented by Cure Auto Insurance. A tough one. The Phillies take this one. It's one of those ball games you think they look good all the way to the end. I ask you, Ruben, tomorrow, what is the story with the bullpen? Because we did see some fluttering from them this whole series.
Yeah, and there were some decent pitches at times, but I'll tell you what, that is going to be a little bit of the Achilles heel, and we talked about that a lot during the course of the offseason, whether the bullpen was going to be revamped and really the defense of the ball club. But I'll tell you what, they played great defense. It was unfortunate. This was a tough loss, but it shouldn't take away from having a great road trip, and hopefully they can keep their heads high. But it is a tough loss at the end of that game with 2 outs and nobody on at the bottom of the ninth.
Little bit of irony there. I mean, yeah. when you look at it, Gavin Lux was the one who had the error early in this ball game that allowed the Phillies to go up 3-0, and then all of a sudden he comes up big in the ninth inning there.
Yeah, outhouse to the penthouse on that one, but there's no question that Gavin Lux came up big for them. It really wasn't that bad of a pitch. Unfortunately, they got into that position because they got a couple of bad calls from the umpire there at the end, and you got to give some credit to the Dodgers. They could have folded. It could have been very easy for them to just go ahead and pack it in after getting beat 3 times in a row, but they came up with some pretty big base hits.
Time to go out to one of the guys that called the game. We're going to go out to Ben Davis out at Dodger Stadium. Ben, one of those situations where everything felt rosy and then all of a sudden that rose turned black.
Yeah, that stunk. It's 6-1 sounds so much better than 5-2.
Sure.
And listen, the struggles the Phillies have had early on, now they dip below 500. To have that chance to sweep the Dodgers first time in a 4-game series since 1985. The average cost of a car was $5,000. That's how long ago it's been. And to have this happen, it stinks. It just makes it sour. It makes you, I don't know, I like to be optimistic.
It was a dying rose, Ben. It was a dying rose.
Dwell on the negative as opposed to, hey, we won 5 games on this road trip. This is great. But it's a bad way to go down. Not going to be a happy flight. But you got to look at some positives. They played really good baseball on this trip for the most part. I don't like the fact that this bullpen, 15 walks in this 4-game series with the Dodgers. 15. They were walking that tightrope. It came to bite them today. Yeah,
there's no question about it. They've got to throw strikes out of the bullpen, and you just can't have guys walking and giving free passes. Talk a little bit about the offense here, because they did benefit from the error early in the game, but they really didn't continue to try to pound it and didn't come up with any big base hits. It was very tough for the bullpen if you don't stretch it out.
Yeah, and that's one thing they did on this trip was they got timely hitting. They runners in scoring position. You look at that one inning. Well, Almonte came in, he had 3 walks and a single, and the Phillies did not score. They got to take advantage of those situations, which they have been for the most part, the 7-game road trip. But this was one of those things they just didn't add on. Nice to see them take advantage of Lutz's error in that 2nd inning. They came through and got some big knocks after that error, which should have ended the inning. But you're right, they just didn't add on. I will say that the Dodgers bullpen did a pretty darn good job. With the exception of those walks that Almonte had, they were pretty good. They attacked early. They were able to get ahead, and they took care of business. Didn't allow anything after that inning.
With this ball club, you absolutely have to continue to try to score runs. Because of the bullpen issues, you got to try to give that bullpen a little bit of space to work with, because they're not really necessarily lights out. And you saw that happen today. Unfortunately, couldn't finish it off.
When you're walking a tightrope for that many days in a row, and I'm talking all the way back to Thursday, because let's face it, if we're being honest with each other, those first 2 games could have gone either way.
Sure.
A hit in one direction for the Dodgers or a misplay by the Phillies in one of those 2 games. Phillies could have lost both games. And in my opinion, that doesn't say a lot for your bullpen. It doesn't say a lot for those guys. So what do you need? You need those big hits with runners in score position. They got them on Thursday. The Phillies got those on Friday. That's what they were missing in this game. If they had 1 or 2 extra hits, hey, they might be up 5 going into the ninth.
Yeah, Ricky, that's what this ball club is built on. It's built on its offense, and they have to try to score as many runs as they possibly can. I mean, I know their record has been outstanding when they score 4 or more runs, but they scored 4 runs, but that just wasn't enough tonight.
Yeah, I mean, this is a ball club that's going to live and die with the runners in scoring position. If they don't get it done, they're probably going to lose some games. When they do get it done, you're going to see those huge numbers, those huge, glorious numbers that everybody likes to see, and take the good out of this. And this is coming from me. You went 5-2 on a West Coast trip. You take that to the bank. You say, thank you very much. let's get on a flight, let's get home, let's enjoy our off day, get ready for San Diego and the Dodgers coming into Citizens Bank Park.
And you know what, Ricky? They did a lot of really good things on this road. I mean, they played great defense. I mean, even today, some of the plays that they made defensively were just outstanding. Johan Camargo was excellent. Stott made a couple of good plays. Even Rhys Hoskins mixed in at first base, made a couple of decent plays. And so that's a great sign. They did a lot of terrific things. I mean, 5-2 to go on the road, as you said, to the West Coast in particular, and play against a team like the Dodgers for 4 and come away with 3 wins. That's pretty great work. I know this leaves a little bit of a bitter taste in their mouth, having lost this game because it was a tough way to lose. But they really did have a really spectacular road trip, and hopefully they can build on that momentum. Bryce, yeah.
Is that we've been seeing these guys with 2 strikes shorten up and just take what the pitcher's giving you. Is that something coming from Kevin Long, or is that something that they're just mindfully doing?
I just think that's probably a combination of those things. I mean, one of the things they talked about is trying to put the ball in play with 2 strikes. There are so many teams in this day and age that are just staying with their A swing, what they call the A swing. Don't change your swing or don't change your approach with 2 strikes. Well, I don't believe in that. I think that's not baseball for me. I think once you put the ball in play, you can make something happen. It happened with the Gavin Lux error. I mean, Bryson Stott put the ball in play. All of a sudden, there's an error. Now you got 4 runs in the game. So I think you got to try to make contact with 2 strikes, and I think they're doing a good job.
They're doing a good job of that. Let's jump back to Aaron Nola because he did something today. He jumped up on the all-time Phillies career strikeout
Pretty
list.
special.
Take a look at that list he has jumped onto. Jumps over Jim Bunning. He's now in 7th place behind Pete Alexander now and behind Curt Schilling.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, that's pretty big company. He's got a long ways to go to get to Pete Alexander. I guess another 200 strikeouts, but that can happen. That can happen in one season. So Aaron Nola, he's been a very, very good pitcher and a consistent pitcher. I know there was an expectation because he had that 1 year in 2018, that Cy Young type year, for him to do that every year. But I'll tell you what, he's been very consistent and he's been a solid pitcher for quite some time for the Phillies.
Very solid, very solid.